Hey guys, thanks for joining me for the little workshop I did at the dental office a few weeks ago. I wanted to put together this video of the exercise we covered just so you guys have them. And then anybody else out there that's a dentist, dental hygienist, desk worker, if you're having upper back, neck issues, this is all stuff that could be super helpful. So we're going to go in the back here. We're going to go through all the stretches we did, and then we're going to get into some strength work. So head on back. So the first stuff we're going to touch on that we talked about some elbow stuff, especially for the desk workers that are at computers. The hygienists can end up having elbow issues, wrist issues as well. So the first stretches we talked about were what we could do for simple elbow pain or elbow tightness. Some of them also were dealing with some carpal tunnel type issues. So I gave them a little stretch for that. So the first one we're going to talk about is we call the prayer stretch. So all we're doing is getting our hands together, and all we're doing is coming into a good stretch that we're shooting for a stretch down, forearms down into the wrists, and we're just hanging out for 30 seconds to a minute, letting it stretch. What you can do is do multiple of them. So if you have a few minutes, spend a few minutes on this one. And then we're going to go to a wrist extension stretch. So then we're just coming out, and all we're doing is applying some pressure to the hand till we feel a good stretch through that upper forearm area. Same idea, we're stretching for about 30, 45 seconds, letting it go, let go slowly, and then you're going to switch arms. And definitely, I would work on both, even if you're only having pain in one. No reason that we don't stretch something that's not in pain. So let's be proactive with it, make sure it doesn't become a problem. So that's the first two, prayer stretch, wrist extension stretch. Next ones we're going to go to is for, again, dental hygienists, dentists, desk workers that sit a lot. We tend to get these what we call kind of rounded shoulders. So we get tight through our pecs. So a couple options for pec stretch. I'm a huge fan of foam rolls. So the first one I went through with them was what we call kind of the foam roll pec stretch, or a foam roll pec angels or foam roll angels, where we're just coming on our back and all we're doing is opening up. And we're just hanging out. We're letting pecs open. We're letting pecs stretch. And we're just hanging out for a few minutes. Super easy to do. Can be super effective of just getting that back to open up. If that feels good, hang out for a few minutes. The next step we could add in is what we call angels, where we're just coming from our sides and just coming up. And we're just focusing on finding some sticky points through that movement. For me, I get pretty tight right there, so I could hang out for a little bit longer, let it stretch, come back down. We can always come past that and even come up a little bit higher. And again, we're avoiding pain with these. We just want to stretch and open up our chest and our back. So that's one I really like with the foam roll. You can get these for pretty cheap online. Another way you can do it is what we call doorway stretch. I'm going to use the wall here. I'm going to do one arm. If you're in a doorway, you could have both arms up, but simple here too, getting in that doorway, getting arm up at about 90 degrees and either stepping into it or rotating away from it. Same idea. We're trying to stretch pec there a little bit. This one can get a little uncomfortable for some people. If you get a little tingly, the other option is just bring your arm down to the side and step into it, and you can either rotate away. If you're in the doorway, you can get both hands up. So again, holding for about 45 seconds to a minute, let things stretch. That's another good option that you could do at work. So for those that get really tight in the upper traps, and that's probably a lot of people that sit for work. So stool or desk chair works great. I like grabbing a hold on one side so we can kind of anchor that arm. And then all we're doing is reaching across and pulling right to the side. So ear straight down to the shoulder till you feel a good stretch, holding for 30, 45 seconds. The other option I like to add in is rotation with it. So you're kind of looking down towards that opposite armpit, holding for, again, 30, 45 seconds, slowly come back out of it and go ahead and switch sides. The next one we're going to touch on is for those that maybe get a little more nerve type symptoms, tingly, numbness, stuff like that. You can do this seated or standing, but we call it a nerve glide. So we're coming out almost like we're holding a tray out on our hand. And as we extend out, we're going to side bend away from it. So all we're shooting for is tension stretch down the arm. This one we're not going to hold very long. We're going to hold for a few seconds, and then we're going to come back. Another option is, instead of side bending, you can kind of rotate away from it. And again, tensioning and then coming off. What I'll tell people with this is maybe 10 or 15 of them at the most. and you can always do both sides. So those are the few stretches. So we got a couple for the elbow, a couple for pec, shoulders, and a couple for our neck and arms. So then we talked a little bit about some strength work. How do we work on opening our chest up and working on a little better upright posture? So super cheap little band here. You can kind of get these anywhere now. Amazon, most sporting goods stores have them. I like kind of looping them around just to give you a little more stability. So the first one we talked about was just up nice and tall and just opening up. And I'll turn around here. So big thing with this is we want to get away from upper trap dominant movement. We want to come down and back with our shoulder blades. So another one that if you have one of these at work, stand up every so often and give yourself 10 or 15 of them. Just open things up. That's my next one. With this same band, we're going to go over to a wall. I like doing it with a foam roll if you have one. If you don't have one, you can do it without and just kind of slide arms up the wall. But we're going to use that same band, and we're going to get forearms on the foam roll on the wall, and we're going to get that band pretty tight. So our first step is pulling that band apart. So from there, again, we want to avoid any of that shrug. While we're holding it apart, we're going to slowly roll up as far as we can and come back down. Goal being we're getting into more extension up the wall without shrugging. So slow up, slow down. What you're shooting for is a good burn through the shoulders and a good burn through that mid upper back area. So this one, 10 to 15 is usually plenty for people. You may only get to 8, 5 or 8, and that's okay. So that one, a little harder to do at work, but doing it at home after work and getting a couple sets in can be really good at just working on that upright posture again. The last one we're going to do is called a wall angel. This one is easy to do at work. All you need is a wall to lean against. So we're going to get our elbows back and our hands as flat against the wall as we can. From there, our goal is to slowly come overhead, which is hard to do, keeping elbows and hands against the wall. And you're going to get up as far as you can. So for me, that's about my limit. I'm going to hold for a few seconds, and then I'm going to come back down. Goal being, if you want to come around to the side, is just keeping hands and elbows as against that wall as you can. If you get to here and those hands start wanting to come off, stop at that point. If you can get up higher, go as high as you can, and then slow back down. So I think that covers the few things that really should take you 15, 20 minutes to be consistent with at home. So give those a shot. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out and we can hopefully help you a little bit more. Thanks.